Head coach Darian Devries and Indiana basketball are going after another top player in the class of 2026, and this is a guy you need to know.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Later in the program, we're going to take a look at a top 25 college athletics Venn diagram. Programs that are a top 25 team in football, basketball, and baseball, some overlap, how the Hoosiers can rise where they stand right now. All of that's going to be a fun activity, so hang around for that. Looking forward to that. But Indiana basketball is continuing to go after the biggest names in high school recruiting, and Darian Devries and the Hoosiers are doing it again with a top 30 player in the class of 2026, and a guy that I'm telling you is only going to get better. He's just silky smooth with the basketball in his hands. He's a rising player in the recruiting rankings. He's top 30 now. He's going to be top 15, possibly even a top 10 player by the time all things are said and done. It's a 4-star according to 247, a 5-star composite type of player, and his name is Cameron Williams. He's from out west, okay? He is from Arizona, so he's got scholarship offers from Arizona and SMU and Washington and places like that, but people are starting to notice this kid. People are starting to understand, oh, this guy's actually really good, and he's only going to get better. This is a true potential recruiting battle. And what I mean by that is you're recruiting him because, yes, he's good right now, but he's going to be very, very good by the time he steps into the college game. He's 6'11", 200 pounds. He plays the center position a lot in high school right now, but he is listed as a power forward. I think a stretch 4 right now is kind of where he is living. Just looking at some film and things like that, that's kind of how he sets himself up. That's how he looks. You wouldn't look at him physically and say, yeah, that's just a big body bully center down low, because that's not how he's built. Again, 6'11" is great when he's only 200 pounds. And that's if he's got, shoes on and his clothes are soaking wet. He's going to have to put on some weight when he gets to college. But right now, he's high flying and having a good time because he plays his size so well. He's got great length. His defense is really, really solid. He averages several blocks and steals per game. He just competed in some big tournaments this past weekend where Indiana went to see him, okay? And so not only did they go see him, go watch him, go talk to him, they offered him a scholarship this weekend. And I know, it's just an offer. I'm just telling you, put this name on your radar because Indiana wants him, and Indiana has a good chance to go and get him, okay? He's got that offer from Indiana. Again, I think he's a stretch 4, but he's not afraid to post up. That's what he does in high school. Is it because he's bigger than everybody else? Yeah, probably, but on the way to a state championship this past year, all he did was dominate out in Arizona, okay? He is just uber talented, plays for the Compton Magic AAU team. And when you watch him, he will absolutely put his body in front of somebody on the offensive end of the floor. He'll not beg, he'll call for the basketball and he'll just back you down and then turn around. And what's so nice and why I think he could play either position is he's got some serious touch around the rim. He doesn't just bully his way all the way in and then throw it off hard off the backboard and hope that it goes in and just keep beating himself until it goes in, Angel Reese style. No, he goes up with some finesse and he's got some touch around the basket, and that's going to be important in the college game, which is why I think, could he be a center? Sure. But I think a stretch 4 is probably where he is going to live. And what should get you excited is what the recruiting people are saying about him. They all know he's good. Everybody knows that the kid is talented. Again, he's top 30 in the country. Depending on where you look, he's either a high 4-star or a 5-star. I'm considering him a 5-star. And the types of quotes that are coming out about this kid, the one that sticks out to me is the fact that they're saying a big jump is coming. He's going to get better. Keep an eye on his recruiting. Look at his rankings. They are going to skyrocket for this guy. I'm telling you, top 15, top 10 is very, very possible for him. And I was watching his highlights and some of his film, doing some study for this, and I'm like, man, he looks like somebody. He looks like somebody with his body type and his shooting ability, because he can shoot it from the outside, and he's got a pretty good stroke. It's a little bit more of a wider release, but it gets the job done. And I was trying to figure out what's a good comparison for him, and then it hit me. He looks like Jabari Smith, who played at Auburn, top 5 pick in the NBA draft, who was the rookie this year, or no, second year, I think, down in, or maybe a couple of years. Anyway, down at the Houston Rockets. That's who he looks like. Somebody who's tall and lengthy, runs the floor, can hold his own on defense. I think Cameron Williams is probably better defensively than Jabari, but he's got the body style and the shooting ability like Jabari. Let him set his feet and let it fly, and he's going to knock it down. And I think he could have a similar college career like Jabari Smith did. And then you're talking about a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. That's what I compare Cameron Williams to. And if you've never seen Jabari play, go watch him. He plays on a Houston Rockets team that functions like an AAU team, but he's a pretty good player. That's what I think Cameron Williams could be. A really good shooter, a solid defender, somebody who runs the floor and crashes the boards, and somebody who Indiana needs on their team. And what could this do moving forward? Well, it would solidify a big man for you in your 2026 class that you're looking for. It would give you at least the 4, if not a 5, if you feel he could do that in the class of 2026. You're going to need multiple, yes, but this could be a fantastic start. Now, I haven't seen anything in terms of him getting a visit set up yet. Again, they just saw him a few days ago, and so they'll try and get all of that set up, but he's going to get more offers. I'm telling you. Again, folks like Arizona are in on him, Notre Dame, SMU, Washington. So it's early, and I think Indiana and Arizona are the 2 big ones here because he is from Phoenix. But more will jump on him. You will see the Dukes and the Kentuckys and the Kansases and the North Carolinas. You're going to see all the big brands like us jump on this guy because he's just that good. But you're talking about someone who could be a future superstar at IU. And since you're on him early, I talk about this so much with recruiting, you have got a major advantage. You weren't the first, but you're not going to be the last. And that's what's important here. Set the tone early, set the standard, make it to where he compares every other school to Indiana. And you do that by making a good offer and getting him on a visit as quickly as possible. Cameron Williams is a guy you need to know. It's spelled exactly like you think it is. Cameron Williams, okay? Look him up. He's incredible and could be the future big man at Indiana, which could lead to other players committing here, that domino effect I talk about, and could reset the standard for big men at IU. Because sure, we've had big guys, but what have they done consistently? Not a whole lot. Cameron Williams could reset that as a stretch 4, possible 5 at the college level. This kid is really, really good. And if Indiana's able to find him and land him and bring him to the Hoosiers and bring him to Bloomington, folks, watch out, because that would be a major grab in the 2026 class. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, we're going to have some fun. I found a Venn diagram with top 25 programs across college athletics, football, basketball, and baseball. We'll tell you where the Hoosiers are, and there's some that I just don't agree with. That's coming up next here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel, okay? Brought to you by FanDuel here on the show. And look, with the NBA playoffs right now, they're in full swing. And every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. You've got the Western Conference Finals last night. Eastern Conference Finals start tonight in the NBA. So there's no reason not to jump on FanDuel. Make it a little bit more exciting. If you like a certain player, or you like a team, or you like a set of players, I mean, whatever the case may be, throw them together and try to win yourself some cash, okay? FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You've got Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you like some of the Pacers players? Do you like Jalen Brunson? Do you like anybody. You like Cat. Anybody you think that's going to have a good game, or multiple somebodies that you think are going to have a good game. Our boy Halliburton, can he do something tonight? I think his point total is like 17.5 or something like that. Jump on it. See if you can win yourself some cash. And then Western Conference Finals just went to Game 2 after SGA came out of his shell in Game 1 and was able to take the Thunder. So do what you got to do. Get on FanDuel and try to win yourself some money and have a little bit more fun with the NBA playoffs. All right. If you're new to FanDuel, that's okay. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, because if it wins, they're going to get you $200 in bonus bets. All right. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we continue on here on Locked On Hoosiers, and going to have a little fun with a Venn diagram that a buddy of mine actually sent me. And apologies, there's no watermarks on it. There's no labeling on it. I've looked everywhere and I can't find this exact one. I have no idea where he found it. So I can't give proper credit, but I would love to do so for whoever made this, okay? But it's really interesting, and if you do find it and know who it is, please drop them in the YouTube comments. But it's a fascinating Venn diagram, because it's a ranking system, basically, of the top 25 programs currently in college football, college basketball, and college baseball. And yes, the Indiana Hoosiers are there. They're just not in the sport you would think they would be in a decade ago, right? As of right now, yes, you can predict where they are, but conversations on how they can get other sports in there will be coming up in just a little bit. But I'm going to do my best. For those of you on YouTube, you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to put this on the screen. If you're listening on audio, I'm going to do my best to break this down for you. So basically what it is, it's 3 circles, right? You've got the top circle, the left circle, and the right circle. They all overlap. Some teams are in 1 circle. Some teams are in 2. A few teams are in 3. Okay. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to put it up there. I know it doesn't fit perfectly, but just work with me here. Okay. So you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you got the football top 25 at the top, the men's basketball top 25 on the right, and the baseball top 25 on the left. And you start looking around, and sure, men's basketball top 25. You've got Texas Tech, you've got Duke, Wisconsin, Michigan, Houston, Maryland, and Michigan State, right? That's pretty consistent. Those are teams that over the past handful of years, which is what this Venn diagram represents, over the last handful of years, yeah, Michigan, Wisconsin, Duke, Houston are consistently top 25 teams in college basketball, but they're nowhere else. That's the only sport that they have. You move to the bottom left, where it's baseball for the top 25. A lot of SEC teams in here, and some ACC teams in here, and some Big 12 teams in here, okay? You've got UCLA is representing the Big Ten. That is the only Big Ten school represented in baseball. TCU, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. Those are teams that have only been consistently good in baseball over the last couple of years. Then you move to the top, and you've got teams who have been consistently good in the top 25 of just college football. You've got Miami, you've got Notre Dame, Ohio State, Colorado's in there, which I don't love, but that's where Indiana falls. Indiana sees their logo. We see the IU logo in the football top 25. And look, I think that is correct. And if you're going off of just last year or just over the past couple of years, or maybe even predicting what the future could look like, then yeah, Indiana absolutely deserves to be in the football top 25. Do I think that Syracuse belongs in this group like they are? No. Do I think that Colorado belongs in this group like they are? No, because Colorado has not been a top 25 team on the field. They have been in the eyes of the media, but I don't really count that if you're asking me. Miami, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they've kind of hung around there, but what surprises me about a team that's not Indiana, who's in the football top 25 here, look at Ohio State. Ohio State not having any of the other sports, basketball or baseball, to be looped into is kind of wild to me for an athletics department that prides themselves on just having more money than God and thinking that they're all that. They just don't have any other major sports going for them consistently, which is crazy because I grew up watching Ohio State basketball be pretty competitive, right? They were making the tournament, Aaron Kraft and those types of guys. And so that one's pretty surprising. And of course, we're going to talk about Indiana basketball not being represented in that top 25, but I think that's pretty spot on down there, bottom right. I mean, again, Michigan and Houston and Duke. Yeah, I think that is pretty consistent. And how about this? How about Kentucky not being on this list? And I think they're going to get there. I think it's very quickly that they're going to get there. And then baseball, look, we understand up here in the Big Ten baseball's not really our major sport. It's not really one that we are overly competitive in. Indiana baseball losing in the Big Ten tournament day one is kind of an example of that. You've got SEC and ACC teams in there and a couple of Big 12. All right, that's fine. We're kind of not overly worried about that. But then you've got some overlap, right? So those are the teams that are in individual categories. Then you've got some overlap. There are some teams who are in football and baseball, 3 SEC teams, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, no surprise. You've got 4 teams who were in football and basketball, which is Memphis, BYU, Missouri, and Iowa State. For some reason, that just rubs me the wrong way. For some reason, I just can't get behind the idea of Memphis and Missouri football being consistently top 25 teams. I don't see how that's going to be the case. BYU, absolutely. There's no doubt because of the money situation they have and the fact that they're not afraid to hide it. Iowa State, yeah, I guess Iowa State basketball for sure. I think they need to pick it up a little bit on the football side. Then at the bottom, you've got 2 teams from the SEC who are baseball and men's basketball. It's Auburn and Florida. I think that's probably pretty fair. Both teams coming off a Final Four. Florida winning the national championship in basketball, and they're from the SEC where baseball is pretty solid. Then you've got the teams in the middle, and there's 4 teams who are considered to be top 25 programs in football, baseball, and basketball. It's Oregon out of the Big Ten. It's Alabama and Tennessee out of the SEC. And it's Clemson out of the ACC. And so it's cool to see Oregon representing our conference, but I would love to see more. I would love to see other teams like a Michigan or an Ohio State or an Indiana get into multiple categories there, because that's the only Big Ten school that's represented in a double or triple Venn diagram here. Every other Big Ten team, and not even all of them are listed, is only in one category. And so my point to this whole conversation is we have room to improve. We have room to get better. IU does, the Big Ten does, and a lot of teams around the country do. It's wild that Tennessee is included in there, but then you lean back and think about it for half a second. It's like, well, Tennessee football went to the college football playoff last year, which I still forget about for some reason. Their basketball team with Rick Barnes continues to be a Sweet 16 program, and they're from the SEC, so the baseball is pretty good. Oregon is the one that really hits home because we know the football program's good, the basketball team is competitive, and the baseball team's the best one they've had in quite some time. They're about to be hosting not just a regional, but probably a super regional in the NCAA tournament the next couple of weeks. So that's a big deal for the Big Ten. I know they're former Pac-12, RIP, but that is a really big deal. And so now the question is, Indiana's top 25 in football. How can we get to top 25 in basketball? And how can we do it without dropping out of the football side? We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Hoosiers. We'll keep talking about this and a whole lot more right after this on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in the middle of the week as we are getting closer to the end of May. Memorial Day coming up, and then June will be here before you know it. And so, look, for any of you that are listening on audio, I know that conversation was a little difficult. Hopefully I explained it well, but we're going to keep talking about it here. And I really appreciate you being here and listening on that, whether it's your any of your podcasting platforms, you know which one, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Pandora, doesn't matter to me. Make sure that you're following us if you haven't already, and that you are a follower and have your notifications turned on, and send it to everybody you know. Anybody, pick one person today and send the podcast to them. That way they can tune in and listen just like you do, okay? And for those of you watching on YouTube, on the video side of things, you know the drill. Like the video, hit that thumbs up, tells me you like what's going on over here. We're putting a lot of work into it and want you to enjoy it. Also, comment down below your thoughts on that Venn diagram if you had a chance to see it. Your thoughts on it. Do you agree with some teams, disagree with some teams? I want to hear from you. And then if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll give you a live update as we are recording today. Our subscriber count is 5,757. How about that? 5757. So we are on our way to 5,800. So thank you so much for your support. It really does mean a lot. All right. So based off of, oh, that didn't want to work, did it? All right. So based off of that Venn diagram that we just went over, I'm not going to put it back up there. Yeah, I know you'd all rather much look at me. Based off of that, I asked the question, how does Indiana get back into the top 25 as a consistent program? I think that's important to look at there and kind of break that down and make that clarification. That's not just a top 25 team last year or the year before, I don't think. I look at that, me personally, as how can we become a top 25 program again? And the difference between a top 25 team and a top 25 program, a team is for 1 year. A program is consistent. A program is 5, 10, 15 years of being a top 25 team, being in the NCAA tournament, being in the Sweet 16, and flirting to go on a run to the Final Four, which is what we all want for Indiana basketball, because it's been quite some time since we have been consistently a top 25 program. And I think you have made the moves and the decisions to start to get back on the right path to that. You thought it was going to be Mike Woodson, and it just didn't work out. It just wasn't. It wasn't the answer that we were hoping for, right? And it sucks. I hate that that's the case and that's the fact, but it is what it is. But you moved on. You made the tough decision, and you realized early in that cycle, or early in that term, whatever you want to call it, that it just wasn't going to work. And give Indiana credit and Scott Dolson, they listened to the fans. They listened to IU fans who were very frustrated, were very upset, and had completely checked out of this program in ways that I had never seen. I'm sure there were some back before my time similar, but this was as bad as I've seen it in a long, long time. And so you've made the right decisions and the right moves to try and reset. You go and hire a really good coach, Darian Devries. You allow him to basically clear out most of the previous staff and bring in a lot of the new staff, which I really, really like. And you have given them the funds to be competitive. Notice I didn't say successful. I said competitive. It's up to the coaches and the players to be successful, coach hard, win games, and execute, right? And do the things that it takes. So all of that is now in motion, which is exciting. It just has to come to fruition. And what I don't want to happen, and what I think is very important here, is how can Indiana become a top 25 basketball program but not drop out as a top 25 football program? Because I want to be in that part of the Venn diagram that we just had. I want to be in there on that bottom or that middle right part. Put us in there with the Memphis and Missouris of the world. Like, are you kidding me? We're so much better than those places. We could dominate those guys on a consistent basis if we were to play them in football or basketball. I believe that. And so put us in what apparently, according to that diagram, is a thin margin, a very uncrowded room of teams who are consistently good in football and basketball. And look, it's not easy. We think it is. We talk about it like it is because of the transfer portal and NIL and things like that. But man, that helps everybody else too. I think it makes it harder because all the things we've talked about. You got to recruit your own roster. You got to get a bunch of money. You got to literally have bidding wars for the best players in the country, and you're going up against everybody. And teams that were never competitive ever are now good. Look at Indiana football, for example. That's a perfect example here. Indiana football has never competed, and boom, all of a sudden, we hire a good coach. He brings a bunch of players. You get a couple transfers and you make it to the college football playoff, and you're flirting to do it again in 2025. That's exactly how this goes. But it also allows a team like Indiana basketball, who has historically been good, to get back to relevancy when they fall off the map. And that's what needs to happen here. Do I think that they're on a string where if one gets good, the other one isn't good? No, not necessarily. But I do think there could be some fall off in other areas, in other athletic departments, because there's only so much money to go around. And let's not forget what makes money. Football makes money. Some places, like Indiana, basketball does make money. But a lot of big time programs, man, basketball breaks even if you're lucky. Baseball loses money. Every other sport loses money. So you can't forget on where the revenue's generated from. And what I mean by that, and kind of where I'm going with this, is Indiana has to continue to support the football program. You have to support Curt Cignetti and the players and the NIL or revenue sharing or whatever the heck it's going to become, because Indiana's here to stay. They're here to stay. They're a competitive team. And with this playoff that they are expecting to expand even more, the Hoosiers should be flirting and competing to make it every single year, which would make us a consistent top 25 team, which would keep us in, for now, the top part of that Venn diagram. But I want us to be in the bottom part too and be in that right middle section where we're good at football and basketball. And I think it can happen. Clearly, other teams do it, other programs do it, other schools do it. Why can't Indiana? We've got the coaches now. We've got the money. We've got the facilities. Most importantly, we've got the fans, man. We've got everything we need to be successful in several major sports. Am I asking for Indiana baseball to be going to Omaha every year and hosting super regionals? No, because I just don't think that's going to happen. But I do think it can get better. I do think it can improve. It's just tough in the Big Ten with how baseball is viewed up here sometimes. But that's all I'm asking, is you can stay relevant in football, but also get relevant in basketball too. And if you do that, it's going to be an exciting time. So I thought that was a neat little Venn diagram. Again, a buddy of mine sent it to me. I have no idea who created it, no idea what they used to create it, but I kind of gave you my viewpoint on it, kind of how I interpreted it, and I think it's accurate for the most part. There were some I didn't agree with, but for Indiana in particular, I think it was very accurate, and it should motivate people at IU to say, man, we have a top 25 football program. All we got to do is get basketball back to relevancy, and we'll be one of the best brands in the sport again. We'll be one of the best brands in college athletics again. And that's what I want for Indiana. I don't want us to just be a basketball school. I want us to be a dang near everything school, the best that we can, the closest we can get. And I think we have a good chance to do that with Curt Cignetti running the football program and a new head man in Darren Devries with the basketball program. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. So thank you so much. Again, we are just having a blast over here, putting in some work in the offseason, and really appreciate you being here and supporting the show. Do all those things I asked you. Again, if you're on audio, like it, follow us, turn on your notifications, pick somebody you know that's an Indiana fan, and send it to them today, okay? And if you're on YouTube, like the video, drop your thoughts in the YouTube comments, and subscribe to the channel, okay? We are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe. And I'll talk to you later.